Hi, this is Sean with the 716 Sports Entertainment Podcast, bringing you a recap of yesterday's NXT on Tuesday, the 29th of April, the last NXT of the month. Hoping that you guys are all doing pretty well out there, and if you haven't liked, commented, or subscribed yet on any of our videos, I'm hoping that you guys can do that for us, help us continue on our upward climb here as we're trying to grow the community and everything. We do truly appreciate everything you guys do for us, and we're hoping that as we get bigger, we'll be able to do some stuff with you guys and go from there. But this is just going to be a quick update and recap for you guys, though. So NXT was pretty eventful. The pretty exciting main event of Jordynne Grace and Io Sky versus Giulia and Roxanne Perez, but we'll get to that after we go through the rest of the night. The night opened with quite possibly my favorite wrestler in the world right now, one Joe Hendry. Comes out to, of course, rousing applause, and everybody's saying his name, but he's out there to call out Trick Williams, because at the last TNA pay-per-view, Trick Williams attacked him from behind. So it looks like we're going to be getting some sort of feud there between Hendry and Williams, maybe for the TNA belt. And then, of course, he also called out Obafemi, because they're going to continue that storyline as well. However, at the end of everything, he was attacked by Dark State. And as much as I like the idea of Dark State running around beating people up, I don't know that I like it in this particular case, unless Trick Williams is the leader of Dark State. I think that's the only way that this particular attack makes sense. But following Hendry getting his ass beat, we move on to the pre-scheduled Lexis King versus Ricky Saints for the North American title. Another case, I think, of the Tony Fumble chance being justified. They are making Lexis King look like a star. Even in a losing effort, he looked fantastic out there. He has the ego, he has the skill, and his father would be proud of him. And I don't really have anything else I can say, though, about Ricky Saints either. He is bound for the main roster, I think, sooner rather than later. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him drop the title at some point so he could move up. It's going to be fantastic to see. I am really looking forward to it. Obviously, Saints retained here. Was a very good match overall. Following this, we had a cinematic promo where Tony D'Angelo was in the ring surrounded by security calling out Stax, and Stax popped up on the Jumbotron and basically talked about how Tony had lost his edge and didn't have a spine anymore, couldn't do what needed to be done for the good of the family. And I really like the mob movie-like feel of all this. The fact that they're getting in Tony's head about who he can and can't trust and where Luca is. And then the fact that Stax had members of his group in with Tony's security team who then turned around and attacked Tony. I don't know. I really am enjoying this, and I hope that the inevitable match that we get out of this is as good as the cinematic promos and all that we've been having going into it. We had another little backstage promo after this one, which basically was Noam Dar with the Heritage Cup back there talking about Metaphor reuniting, only for Lash Legend to basically say, hey, since you've been gone, we've all been doing better without you here, in a nicer way than that, because that sounded kind of mean. But they basically all agreed that everybody was going to go their separate ways and continue their solo careers and succeed at what they're doing. Nice little ending to Metaphor with a little opening to be able to come back to them again at some point. Do feel kind of bad, though, for Noam Dar coming back right into his group being disbanded. That kind of sucks. After that, we had a women's North American non-title match, I think. But it was our North American women's champion, Sol Ruca, versus Carmen Petrovich with Adonis. And they had their typical Sol Ruca match. She ended up winning pretty easily. I think the bigger story out of it that they're going to tell here is the end of the love story between Adonis and Petrovich, which thank God, because it absolutely sucks. I am so glad that part's going to be over. We had another promo, kind of a promo-heavy show tonight, with Trick out in the ring. I think at this point we can all say that Trick is a full-blown heel, and the amount of whining that he was doing in the ring while still claiming to be better than everybody, yet he hasn't gotten his title back and how he deserves it, brought Ava out, who basically told him, no cutting the line this time. If you want to face Oba at the next PLE, you have to go through 24 other people, and that sets up a 25-man battle royale for next week, with the winner becoming the #1 contender. And honestly, I don't think Trick wins that. I think that Joe Hendry is going to come out as part of the battle royal and either eliminate Trick, or they're going to eliminate each other at the end, and we'll get a 3-way match against Oba again, which kind of sucks with the fact that we just had that 3-way at Stand and Deliver. But I'm not going to complain about Joe Hendry in a match against Trick Williams and Oba Femi. That will be chef's kiss to me. From that, we went into another backstage little segment with Undertaker talking with Oba Femi, who in the past he had given his blessing to, and basically did the same thing here again, but this time it came with a warning that he had some big men of his own backstage, and that they were from LFG, and they were coming down the road to maybe take that title off Oba, and they popped up behind him to kind of try to intimidate him, and Oba basically was like, nope, I'm better than you, and ignored him, and shook Undertaker's hand, and I can't tell you how impressive it is that they're giving Oba that Undertaker blessing. I mean, that is such a huge, huge honor for somebody, that, especially somebody as young as Oba Femi and as new as Oba Femi. I mean, he's only been champ for 6 months now, and he's just been a machine. We did get another match after this one, though. We got the tag team champions Hank and Tank defending their titles against Josh Briggs and Inamura before Inamura heads back to Japan shortly. And I don't know. It was exciting to see Hank and Tank finally win the titles like I predicted them to. But it feels like every single one of their matches are the same, where they end up almost winning by accident. And like even when they were losing, it would all come down to them getting so close and then just losing. Now it's basically turned into the same thing, but the opposite, where they'll just win at the end because they get lucky. And I think this is more so about the breakup of Josh Briggs and Inamura before Inamura does head back to Japan. And I think that Josh Briggs is going to be the one to turn heel here. I think that would be the better option. And get us a match between the two of them. Should be a pretty good, hard-hitting match, and I'm looking forward to that one. And finally, to close everything out, we got the main event of a women's tag team match between Io Sky and Jordynne Grace against Giulia and Roxanne Perez, which is kind of interesting considering that, like we talked about on our Monday Night Raw show with Mike and T, Giulia and Roxanne are both apparently being treated as members of the main roster, so I'm kind of surprised that they did this match down in NXT. I don't know if they did it to kind of pass the torch to Jordynne Grace, but this match was pretty much everything you could hope for. All four of these women are absolutely incredible. Hard hitting by Jordynne and Giulia, super athletic by Io Sky, and then Roxanne Perez is just an amazing in-ring technician. And Io Sky and Jordynne Grace pick up the win. I think that this then obviously will continue onto the main roster again. I think you'll see Rhea and Io versus the two of them, maybe at Backlash. And I don't know, I think that this may have been setting up Jordynne Grace as your #1 contender for Stephanie Vacour, but don't 100% hold me to that one. That's the feeling that I get. But that was basically a quick recap of last night's NXT. And again, thank you guys for tuning in. I know that it's not always easy to get in here and watch our videos, so when you do, we do really appreciate it. And just make sure that you hit that like button hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and throw us some comments. Give us some ideas on any videos or anything you want us to see, especially now that football season is rolling in and we're already starting the football episodes. If you want to tune in later today, we're going to have our NFC Power Rankings, potentially with a special guest on the show for the first time, and you're probably not going to want to miss that. It'll be a great time. And thanks again for tuning in, guys.